Hey, Mama, let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself like sitting there thinking, how is it that I have two daughters, or maybe a son and a daughter, or maybe even three daughters that are raised in the same home, and yet they are so different when it comes to communication? Like one of them will tell you everything in every detail, every emotion, every thought, and then the other, if you're lucky, you get more than one word answer out of her. And somewhere in the middle of that, you might start wondering, am I doing something wrong? Why is it so easy with one and so hard with another? If you've ever felt that tension, that confusion, even that quiet frustration that you might be feeling, I get you, I hear you, and I see you. So that's why today we're going to talk about it. Because what if the goal isn't to get your daughters to communicate the same way, but really to learn how to reach each of them in the way they're uniquely needed, right? The way they can communicate. So in this episode, we're diving into how to navigate two completely different teen communication styles. And it could be 3 or 4, depends how many kids you have, and really how to build connection with each of your girls without feeling like you're getting it all wrong. Let's get into it. If you are frustrated with how to get your teenage daughter to open up to you because all you want is to connect with her as you once did, you're in the right place. Hey, I'm Jeannie Baldomero, a former rebellious teen, now mom of 3 young adults, educator, and the mom mentor, equipping you to create open communication with your girl so she can come to you about anything, even if she's scared. So grab your oat milk latte, breathe, and let's do this together.
I couldn't believe it. I was grieving that, and to hear you say those words, "Are you grieving your little girl that you once had?" I thought, there's someone who understands me. I didn't need counselling. I didn't need therapy. I needed just thing that you taught me was empathy. Just empathise. And also, one of the biggest things you taught me was not to take things personally. This isn't about me. My daughter's told me that I'm her safe person and that home is her safe place. She's talking more openly to me. So just that in itself is more than what I could have ever hoped to have achieved.
Okay, Mama, are you finding yourself feeling frustrated trying to figure out your girl in this stage and not getting far with maybe even asking some questions? She's just like a stone wall. Mouths are closed, or even just getting one-word answers, or maybe an attitude that you didn't ask for because you're simply asking a question just because you want to know more about her because she's not talking to you. You literally get one word or even a shrug or the silent treatment or maybe a roll of the eye. I get you. I honestly read many books to unravel this mystery of connecting with my once sweet little girl. What happened? Why all of a sudden she's a different girl? And then I even question, have I failed as a mom raising her? What did I do to deserve this? What if I said something that will cause consequences that maybe we won't have a great relationship? Or even worse, maybe I'm pushing her away enough that she'll not want to share with me again. Okay, maybe that was a bit dramatic, but really, who else thinks this way? I hope it's not just me. Mom guilt at its finest. And our teenage daughter has a great way of finding that mom guilt card and flashing it in our faces. So, you know what? I decided things needed to change. I couldn't get into that spiral, that roller coaster ride that my daughter was taking me on. Actually, my kids were taking me on. So I asked myself, what did I need as a young teenage mom? So I decided things are going to change. This kind of brought some traumatic experiences as a 13-year-old myself and what I had put my mom through, but I had to really dig deep and revisit that young Jeannie. I asked myself, what did I need as a young teenager? And go do that. I'm able to connect with my girl better than my mom did with me. And as a young adult now, she loves making connections, is brutally, and I say brutally, honest with me, with her feelings. But that's what I welcome. I want her to be open and trust me. We've done the work together by establishing a safe space for her to talk. And I want to help you do the same too, Mama. My Talk to Your Teen Girl framework allows me to walk you through a step-by-step actionable lessons that will help you create open communication with your daughter so that you can connect with her once again. You'll learn how to establish a safe space, learn how to respond to your daughter so she will feel heard and understood, as well as printable templates that allow you to guide your discussion so it's not as emotional as it can be and you get the conversation going. Let's do this together. Create open communication with your daughter so she can come to you even when she's scared. Head to talktoyourteengirl.com. That's talktoyourteengirl.com. So I wanted to talk about something today that I know so many of you are walking through right now, maybe not really sharing it or maybe sharing it and just are baffled by what do you do when you have 2 daughters, 3 daughters living in the same home, raised by the same mom, and yet they communicate completely differently. Like, I mean, one of them will sit and talk with you for an hour, open, expressive, processing everything out loud, and the other, get the one-word answer like, fine, and that's it. And if you're being honest, it can leave you feeling really frustrated and really confused, maybe even questioning yourself. What am I doing here? How can I fix this? So before we go any further, I do want to remind you that this is where we start, right? You need to give yourself more credit. You really do, because the truth is you already know each of your daughters. You know their personalities. You know what makes them light up. You know when something is off, even if they don't say a word. You know them because you are their mom. You've spent the most time with them. And that right there is not small. That is your advantage. You are not trying to figure out strangers. You are learning how to love and communicate with your daughters who you've been studying their whole lives. You know them. And I know at this season, it almost seems like, like what my mom said, I don't even know who you are anymore, because it is that ugly, fuzzy season of preteen and teenage years. But you deep down still know who she is. She's in there, the person that you raised and her tendencies and personalities. And I also want to reframe something that might feel like a struggle right now. The fact that your daughters are so different. It's actually something beautiful, right? It's beautiful that they are not the same, because we are never created to be all the same. There is no one else in this world like you, and there is no one else in this world like each of your girls. Their differences are not something to fix. It's actually something to embrace. That's what makes our world so beautiful. Imagine having everybody exactly the same. It would be boring, monotonous, right? There is something to understand. So instead of asking, why is this so hard? What if we started asking ourselves, how do I learn to reach each of them in the way they need to be reached? Because that's really what communication is. It's not just talking, it's reaching. It's asking, how do I connect with her heart? So let's get practical for a minute, okay? Because I want to give you 3 anchors you can hold on to when you feel like you're navigating 2 completely different communication styles. And I'm not just saying 2, I'm not limiting it to that. It could be 3 or 4, right? So the first one is know their love language. Know their love language. In my Talk to Your Teen Girl framework, I actually do a deeper dive in this about how important the love language is. And I know we often think of love languages as how we show love, but it's deeper than that. It's actually how our daughters receive it, how they receive us. It's how they feel understood, how they feel connected. One daughter might open up most when they're spending quality time together. Maybe it's in the car, maybe it's going for coffee, maybe it's just sitting on her bed at night. And another daughter might respond more when you speak life over her with words of affirmation, encouragement, and noticing her, right? We go into a deep dive in the Talk to Your Teen Girl framework because this is valuable information. She's feeling seen, and this is one way we can reach her if we understand their love language. And here's what's really important. If you're speaking in a way that you would receive, but not in the way she receives, that's going to be a disconnect, right? It's almost like speaking a different language and not being able to translate it. So start paying attention. When does she soften? When does she open? When does she pull away? Because communication isn't just what you say. It's how it lands on her heart. And the second anchor is this. Adjust your timing, not just your words, right? This one is huge because some teens process out loud and some process internally. And you might have one daughter who wants to talk about everything the moment it happens, and another who needs time, maybe space, maybe even a day or two before she's ready to open up. And that's me. I am a processor. I can emotionally vomit and react, but I realize for me to really step away from my emotions and really process it after the fact, it's processing. I need time. I can't just resolve it in that time because I'm still yet understanding how I feel about it, right? So that's how I am. Maybe your daughter's the same way. She might come across as a drama queen, but really it's just her feeling all the feels. You just happen to be the target to feel all the feels, but yet she needs some time to process what she really means, right? And if you try to pull it out of her too soon, she shuts down. But if you wait too long with your other daughter, she's going to feel dismissed. So you have to really understand, what kind of person is she? What does she, how does she tend to communicate with you, and go with that? So instead of asking, why won't she talk to me? Maybe try asking, when is the most open? When is she the most open to talking, right? When is she the most open to talking? Is it in the car where there's no pressure to make eye contact? Is it late at night when everything slows down? Or is it when you're doing something side by side? Maybe she needs to be active and her mouth opens up as well. Timing can change everything, right? The right conversations at the wrong time can feel like pressure. But the right conversations at the right time, oh, that is connection. That is the sweet spot. So be sure that you're adjusting your timing, not just your words. And the third anchor, create safety before you expect openness, right? And I say this all the time. It is really about safe space, because your daughters won't go deep with you if they don't feel safe, right? Regardless of how they communicate. And safety doesn't mean you agree with everything they say. It just means that you feel like they can be fully themselves, right? They feel like they can be fully themselves without being shut down, corrected, or compared, right? That's why anchors number 1 and 2 are so important. Are they feeling heard, seen, and understood, right? Especially when you have 2 daughters who are entirely different. It can be so easy without even realizing to respond to one in a way that makes the other feel like she has to measure up. Ooh, that hurts. And that hurts me as a mama of 3, because I have been guilty of that too. I connect with one of my kids way different, and I feel like one of my kids feel like they have to act that way in order to get that same reaction from me, right? So, and also knowing that your personality might match up with one of your daughters, that allows for ease of communication, and you might have to work a little bit harder with another. But that doesn't mean that communication is defeated, right? It just means you just have to learn how to best reach them. How do I create a safe space that evokes openness, right? But what each of them really need is this. I can come to my mom and she will hear me, right? She's going to say, I can come to my mom and she will hear me. And that looks like listening without interrupting, holding back advice, at least at first, right? And validating what they're feeling before trying to even fix it. Because when a teen feels safe, that's when she'll start to open up. There we go, the 3. So mama, let me leave you with this today. You are not doing it wrong because your daughters communicate differently. They don't have to be the same. We don't reach people exactly the same way. You are being invited into a deeper kind of motherhood at this point, believe it or not. It might not feel like it, but you are being invited into a deeper kind of motherhood. And that's one that requires you to slow down, to notice, to adjust. Not because you're failing, not because you feel like you have to and you want to appease her, but because you care enough to meet each of your girls where they are. And yes, it takes more intention. Even in this crazy, crazy cycle, you might have seasons and you might be in the middle of a season of a busy season that's just chaotic. But during the season, it does take a lot of intention. And I have to say that intentionality doesn't ever go away. It just changes, even with your young adult kids. But what it does create is something powerful. Each of your daughters feels seen by you. They're not compared, they're not misunderstood, but they're truly known when you are intentional in understanding how they are best reached and understood. And when a teen girl feels known by her mom, that's where trust grows. And that's where walls will come down. And that's where real communication will begin. So mama, I'm encouraging you to keep on going. You are closer than you think you are. And the fact that you're even asking this question maybe to yourself, it tells me everything I need to know about your heart as a mom. So, mama, take these anchors as you're trying to, get to know each of your daughters because they are uniquely and wonderfully made intentionally. So go and intentionally get to know them so you can communicate at a deeper level. I'll see you next time. Hey friend, if this podcast inspired you or encouraged you or helped you in any way, I'd love for you to share it. You can screenshot this episode and share it in your stories on social media or text it to a friend who can use the support. It's the best way you can thank me. I want to let other mamas know they are not alone. I'd love to stay connected with you. You can find me at raisingherconfidently.com. Until next time, live full of grace, Jeannie.